Space, the final frontier. Join us for a bold conversation. Our prime directive: to recap our favorite Star Trek shows, both new and old. To engage in debate about all things Trek. Prepare to energize with phasers set to stun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Phasers Set to Stun, where we continue to show our love for everything Star Trek in this ongoing series from a Film by podcast, which focuses on every quadrant of the expanding universe of Trek by covering television, animation, movies, directors, and so much more. Plotting the course, as always, is your core Trek crew. I'm David Burns.
I'm Scott Hoffman.
And I'm Wayne Whited.
As we always do, red alert. If you haven't seen this film, please go do so and then come back to join us. We will be right here on the bridge waiting. Well, gentlemen, we have finally hit the end of these cinematic films with the 13th Star Trek and 2016 Star Trek Beyond. It is the final film as of this podcast in the Kelvin Timeline and the last of all the Star Trek films for now. Directed by Justin Lin of Fast and the Furious fame, while written by Simon Pegg and Doug Young. Well, before we get too far into deep space and start breaking this down, Scott, tell our listeners what this film is all about.
So we begin with a little drama in a negotiation with a new species where a seemingly insignificant artifact presents bigger problems for the Kelvin Kirk's crew. This all happens with the crew at a crossroads. Prime Spock's death gives Kelvin Spock second thoughts about continuing on the Enterprise. Kirk faces a similar decision: advance as a vice admiral or continue exploring, as his birthday brings him 1 year older than his father ever got to be before his untimely death. This, combined with the routine of a 5-year mission, weighs on Kirk. Breaking the tension is a distress call from the edge of Federation space that turns into a trap. Enterprise is destroyed by a swarm attack, and the crew is held hostage. Their key to survival is a new friend who holds the secret to the story's villain, a strange new character with oddly familiar ties to Starfleet's past. His plan is to destroy the Federation in an act of revenge for being left behind by Starfleet's march toward the future. It's an original story, engineered by Scotty, and, as you mentioned, Doug Young and Justin Lin. But will the Kelvin Timeline go beyond this trilogy? Let's discuss.
Well, I don't know about that. Well, I guess
I think the answer is probably no.
Yeah,
even though I keep hearing rumors of it, but it's pretty much been this is it for them, right?
Yeah, I think so. They're not going to get these guys back for that. I don't think so. It's done.
I don't either.
Yeah,
I agree.
So, in my opinion, this is the weakest of the new films. Granted, it did okay at the box office because it was like $185 million budget and ended up earning $343 million. So, I mean, it did well, but I'm curious what you guys think about it. Do you think this is the weakest of the new trilogy?
No, I definitely don't.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw it in theaters, I remember being slightly confused more than anything until I watched at home a couple of different times, which was a little off-putting at first. I remember still having some, my arms kind of crossed and folded, like sitting there in the seat, because Into Darkness took some turns that I wish it hadn't taken. So I feel like that left a big kind of a bad taste in my mouth, but I want to like it a lot more because it's written by Simon Pegg.
Yep.
And I think subsequent watchings have made me appreciate it a little bit more, but I definitely don't think it's one that I want to keep coming back to keep watching.
Wayne, what about you? You seem to like it.
I don't think it's the weakest. I still think Into Darkness is the weakness. It has a lot of problems, and this film does too. It's not the best. It's nowhere near like 2009's, but I don't think it's that bad of a film. I at least left feeling like I watched something original, something new to Star Trek.
For sure.
It does. I think the change of director helped. I think the change of writers really helped, because I feel some of the dialogue is actually rather good. Much better than what there was in the last film. But there are a lot of problems. I think the film is a little too flashy, a little too bombastic. But it to me it feels like a typical away mission, more like an original series episode, just with bigger space battles and more fist fighting, I guess.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the villain in this. Yeah, I guess we kind of discussed about Khan too in the last one, but just wasn't a big fan. And don't get me wrong, Idris did a fantastic job, but I just didn't like the villain at all. He really just bothered me. I just feel like it didn't build up to where I wanted to go, I guess. I like the reveal that, he was the captain of it. Was it the Franklin? I believe, USS Franklin.
Yep.
And I like that. We find that out, but I still just like, meh. I just felt the whole ending felt flat to me altogether.
Well, yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right. And that's my biggest problem with the film itself is the villain. It was so vague, but what was his motive?
Yeah,
I mean, really, there really wasn't anything, at least told to us. He hates Starfleet. That's one thing, but why is he doing what he's doing? Why didn't you just leave it all alone? Why does he need to kill everybody? I don't understand. They really never made that very clear as to why he's doing what he's doing.
I think it was just the revenge on Starfleet. Is that what you got out of that, Scott?
Yeah, I mean there's some interesting depth there in that when you finally get the reveal and you understand that it's Edison, who's someone who there were some similar notes to Zod in Man of Steel, where it kind of felt like, I was born and bred for war, and when that was left behind, the Federation moved forward, but it just kind of shoved me off onto some distant corner, and when my crew disappeared, they did nothing for me, right? So I think there's some interesting depth there that I wish would have come sooner. Which is the confusing part, right? Like, he starts as something that seems like a new species, a new person, and it's only until much, much later we find out that he used to be part of what preceded the Federation, or kind of an offshoot that may have preceded the formation of Starfleet. I would have cared about his character in different ways if that had been introduced earlier.
Yeah.
You see his slow kind of, I guess, revolving into more of a human form. I think it was kind of interesting they had that kind of vampiric assimilation suit, I guess it was, like technology that lets you drain somebody's life force, but also kind of take on the properties, or their their biological distinctiveness. It's kind of a reverse Borg, right?
I thought the same thing.
And then you've got Jayla's character, who could have kind of added to that and said, Edison and whoever was left did the same thing to her family, basically drained them dry. That we would have gotten aspects of that, but it just kind of felt like all those pieces came together too late. And it just at the end ended up being somebody who was bent on revenge, had magical space goo that was going to kill everybody. But nothing that necessarily felt like you shouldn't go any further, and here's why.
Another thing that bothers me is that it is, I just lost its luster. Is seeing an Enterprise getting destroyed again. Yes. I'm so tired of it. Okay.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. The visuals were absolutely gorgeous. But can we stop destroying the Enterprise? I mean, I don't feel emotionally attached to it at all, like I did with losing the OG Enterprise in Search for Spock, and of course losing Enterprise D in Generations. I was emotionally attached to those Enterprises, because we had seen them for so long that you felt a loss. It was like losing a character. But they do it so much now. It's like, no big deal. We're going to lose another ship. We'll just rebuild it. I'm tired of it. I really am. And that's another thing that took me out of this film. I was like, here we go again. We're going to destroy another ship. And again, I don't want to take anything from the visuals because I thought they were stunning, but I'm just tired of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting tactic, the way that they do destroy the Enterprise. I was a little surprised that they didn't take another approach to reacting to it. If you have a shotgun blast coming at you, you've got all these different kind of things kind of flying at you. I would think evasive maneuvers would be the thing, not try to shoot as many of these pellets as you can. That to me, I couldn't I couldn't really see around that.
I think the problem I have with it is the Kelvin timeline. They treat the Enterprise like it's just a ship. They don't treat it like a character, like the original stuff does. It's just like, oh, this is something we're just on board. We don't care about it. That's what it feels like. The entire trilogy of the Kelvin timeline. It's no big deal. It's no loss. And I'm sorry, but the Enterprise is a character just as much as Kirk, Spock, all of them, and they should treat it as such, just like any military does to the whatever they're on, an airplane or a battleship, whatever it is. They treat that thing like part of the family. The Kelvin timeline, hell with it. We don't care about it. And that's what really bothers me about the Kelvin timeline in the Enterprise.
I 100% agree with everything you guys said. It's tiring seeing the damage and seeing the destruction of the Enterprise because we're not attached to it. It's big deal. If they'll get another one. Who cares?
Yep.
That's wrong.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that we're not going to see any more of the Kelvin timeline, to be honest with you, because I'm to be honest, I'm done with it. I really am. I want to move on to something else. I really do.
It kind of feels like it hasn't been established as a home necessarily, because you don't have family living on board with them, and I feel like when you get more of those kind of emotional attachments, then it means a little bit more when it's destroyed. It was also kind of an odd moment where we're meeting them, because Kirk is kind of embodying that whole, we're on a 5-year mission and I'm already kind of done with the routine by year 3.
Right.
Not that there's not a lack of excitement, because he's like, I ripped another shirt. What you gonna do? But it just kind of seems like it's more of the job than a home that you really kind of enjoy. And like we see on Strange New Worlds, I think the attachments that they form on the Enterprise are really what creates that association with the Enterprise as a home. And we just haven't had the chance to get that yet.
Yeah. I mean, in Search for Spock, when you see the ship going down and Kirk looks to Bones and what have I done, you feel that. Yeah. You feel it. This is just like, okay, whatever. Let's move on. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've spent 78 episodes, 22 animated episodes, and 3 films at that point.
Yeah.
That it was a main character to Star Trek, and we cared about that ship and everything that happened, just like Kirk did. Yep. And seeing it destroyed was gut wrenching. This. Yep. Who cares?
Exactly.
We saw it destroyed before. We got no chance to attach ourselves to it at all.
Right. Absolutely. Now, I will tell you the one thing I do love in this film is the team ups. How when they crash on the planet and you get all these different team ups. And one of my favorites is Spock and McCoy. There is so much comedic gold between these two guys, and the chemistry is spot on between the two of them. It really is. That's my favorite part of this whole movie, is those two.
Yeah, there's that bit where McCoy and Spock and Spock's talking about something, and McCoy says horse shit, and Spock comes back and says, "I fail to see how excrement has any kind of plays a part." I love that. I love that.
Yeah. And I think he even uses the horse shit a little bit later, doesn't he? Spock does.
Yeah.
There's another one where they're back to back, and Bones is saying, "Well, at least I know I'm not going to die alone," and then he gets transported away. He's like, typical. Yep. It kind of made me think of when we talked about Search for Spock, and obviously there is the mind meld kind of thing that was happening there that brought them a little bit closer. But I think this team up brought them closer in other ways that I thought were more meaningful. And I love the scene where they're sitting there and Spock is talking about Prime Spock's death and the weight that he has on him, and to be able to talk each other through that is fantastic. And then when you frame that with kind of on the opposite side, when they're being told that they're going to be transported onto one of the bees together, he's like, "Forget all that stuff I said in the cave. You're dead to me." Like it goes right back to form. So I love that kind of I love that dynamic that I think they used really, really well. And I was glad that Chekhov got a meaningful, I think, duo with Kirk. Especially considering this is Anton Yelchin's last feature, which is a tragedy, obviously. I think he does an amazing job in this as Chekhov. I think he's done consistently well in all the Kelvin movies. I thought he was a fantastic role in Fright Night. I think it's a shame that we lost him, but I'm glad that he had so much to do in this movie, because I would hate to see this be the last one and not have enough use of him.
He was definitely a very talented actor that we lost too young. There's no doubt about that.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's this one of the big plus I will give this film, and the writers obviously Simon Pegg was very conscious about this. This film does feel more like an ensemble piece than the last one. Everyone is given their time on screen. Everyone's given a genuine hero moment. You know, it felt very even with everyone. Of course, the main three, Kirk, Spock, McCoy, get center stage, obviously, but no one was just thrown off to the side and given, you know, a few lines, which we saw quite a lot with the other films.
Yeah, completely agree with that. And that's what I love about this film, is that very thing. The ensemble, they get more to do on screen, and it comes off fulfilling and pushing the story in a much better way than the previous films have. So yes, I completely agree with that one, Wayne, for sure. We got our usual cast, we you know, that has been through this trilogy, but we got some additions. Obviously the villain, Krull, Idris Elba, who is a really good actor, and I think he did a good job for what he had.
I think he did.
Sophia Boutella, who plays Jayla. I love Jayla. I really liked her character in this. I like to see that she joined Starfleet at the end of this, because she obviously said, "Do I have to wear one of those silly uniforms?" And you know, but I would love to see something about her in other films. I don't know what they would do, even in comic books, anything. I would like to see more of her character, since we know she joined Starfleet. I would like to see something happen with her, because I loved her character. I thought Sophia did a fantastic job.
She did.
Yep, and I agree. I think Idris Elba does a great job as Krull, considering that he's so many different versions of Krull. It wasn't until the third time that I watched this that I was able to identify that it felt like the first Krull that we get is before he starts to kind of lose, almost like his makeup starts to get kind of smoothed out. He reminds me of a blend between Tim Curry from Legend and Louis Gossett Jr. from Enemy Mine. Like
I
his
can see
speech
that.
effect, like it was like, that's why this
It's a good call.
reminds me of. But I think he did a good job of, you know, stepping through those different kind of things, and I think it's kind of a shame again that they didn't explain that a little bit more. You get one kind of hint where he's holding two crew members, and they start to become almost kind of mummified. I don't know. Maybe if we had seen him as a different kind of captain who has already lost all of his crew, who maybe did think of his, you know, ship as more of a home, that would have posed a little bit more of kind of a mirror to Kirk and what he's decided to do, or Spock and what he's thinking about doing. It would add a little bit more time to this, which I don't think we really need, but yeah, I think he did a good job. And I agree, Sophia as Jayla was a very interesting character. It'd be interesting to see that as some kind of a spin-off in some fashion, but I'd rather not go into Kelvin Timeline and then this other timeline. I'd rather continue with Strange New Worlds, but I think there's some potential there that was missed.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. There's a few other additions here. I know it's Lydia Wilson, who plays Kalara. One of the actresses who joined this cast briefly, obviously, she plays Commodore Paris, is Sarah Agdashlu. I'm probably butchering her last name, but she is absolutely amazing.
Yes.
I love her voice. She's very distinguished in that voice. As soon as you hear it, you know who it is. But if you guys haven't seen the amazing Amazon series, The Expanse, highly recommend it. She has a major role in that show, and that's where I fell in love with her as an actress. Even to the listeners out there, if you've not seen The Expanse, you are missing out. First 3 seasons are absolutely phenomenal science fiction. Definitely check that out. Last season, not so much, but hey, it is what it is. But she's a wonderful actress, and I was so happy when I saw her in this film.
Cool.
And of course, Greg Grunberg, who always pops up in J.J. Abrams stuff. The guy's
Oh
everywhere.
yeah.
He plays Commander Finnegan in this. I know J.J. Abrams dropped out of directing this because he obviously was joining Star Wars and couldn't do Star Trek. I'm stabbing the back of a lot of Trekkies out there moving into the world of Star Wars, but I think he made the smart decision. I think the franchise, it was good for the franchise for Star Trek anyway. Even though Justin Lin I don't think was a great choice, it really felt like Fast and the Furious Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I get it because I mean he directed what 3 of those films, Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, I think he did.
So I see some of those elements that he brought into this film, and I guess they wanted that fast pace in this film, for a more modern audience, I guess you could say. I get it, but it is what it is, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean he did a great job with something that is so action oriented.
Yeah,
That is, the action choreography of ships played a major part in this, and then of course one motorcycle scene that I don't know. I just at a certain point it felt a bit silly. Like it felt hard to believe that one. But yeah.
yes.
And let me correct a mistake that I made on the last podcast too. When I was listing the actors that had been in my other favorite series, Doctor Who, I missed a big one, and we haven't really talked about his character, even though he's been in all 3 of them. That's Deep Roy, who plays Keenser.
Yep.
It's an original character. The idea of having Scotty having an assistant like that is pretty unique, and I've always loved the character in all 3 of the films.
Yeah.
And he was in was considered one of the best Doctor Who stories ever written back in the 70s, called The Talons of Wing Chiang. You should really check that one out. But he is a wonderful actor. He's been in so many things and is great in all 3 of these Star Trek films.
He was in my favorite childhood movie, Neverending Story.
Yes, he was.
Yep.
I think it's good that his character Keenser has been given so much more to do. Like he hasn't been just kind of left behind, which he could have been. But I think his acting in the role is really fitting for it, even though there are no lines whatsoever. But I love the relationship that he has with Scotty, that they continue that kind of closeness. I also think the design of the character is fascinating. I think
it is
more interesting in the first one, where you could see there were kind of like sticks almost for pupils. But yeah, that's a good call. Deep Roy did a great job.
He did. Good call, Wayne. All right, well, let's take a break, and when we come back, we will continue our discussion of 2016 Star Trek Beyond. Welcome back, everybody, to Phasers Set the Stun. We were continuing our discussion about Star Trek Beyond, the last film of the Kelvin Timeline. So let's talk more about this film itself. To me, I said this was the weakest of the trilogy. I will go on record again to say this was the weakest opening of all 3 films.
I'll give you that one. Yeah.
It just meh. Him giving his speech to giving, which we find out later is the actual device the villain is looking for, but approaching them and giving them a speech and them just coming out of nowhere. I mean, yeah, it's funny because they look like they were huge and all of a sudden they're these tiny little creatures. But I don't know. I just did not like the opening of this film. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It is the weakest. I liked Into Darkness's interest. That's probably the only thing I really liked about that film. But nothing can beat the intro for the first one.
No.
Nothing at all.
Not at all.
Well, it's kind of a disarming intro, because they seem to be these gigantic monsters with these big booming voices, and then of course they look like they're the size of bulldogs.
Right.
What kept coming back for me with this one is the parts of a horrible weapon which must never come back together at the risk of the entire universe or whatever, reminded me of a couple of different Next Generation stories. In particular, there's the one with the there was a Vulcan device, I think it was, that had been split into different pieces, and they eventually had to. Do you remember which one I'm talking about?
I remember a similar story that I don't remember what it was though. But yes.
Yeah, I do remember that.
The point is, this is one part of some kind of horrible weapon, and we're just gonna handed over casually without studying it. And it seems like, yes, it's kind of this diplomacy, like this, species gave it to us to give to you as a sense of trust or whatever. But
Mhm.
if they're going to hand it over, fine, in the sense of diplomacy, whatever. But if they're going to store it in their archives, and if he's going to put it in the back of Ensign Sill's head, feels like they should study it a bit more.
Yeah.
To say, like, is this radioactive? Is it filled with the magic space goo? Is this like what is happening there? And I kind of felt bad for Ensign Sill when her, the tendrils or whatever open up on the back of her head. And I don't know if it was naturally part of her skin on the back of her head, or if it looked like there was kind of some discoloration.
Hmm.
And I was like, is this thing like melting her brain as she's holding this for Kirk? It just seemed like that one was a little bit of like everybody knows about this ancient weapon. The Starfleet had it in their hands, but they didn't study it at all. It seems odd.
It does.
Very odd.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a goof. Good job, Starfleet. Good job. We're Section 31 when you need them.
Right.
I did like the Yorktown space station. I thought
Yeah.
that was absolutely amazing. Again, visuals were absolutely stunning here. Matter of fact, even when we get all the different shots around the space station, getting to see what it looks like, I thought the piece of music here was fantastic.
Yep. I definitely 100% agree with that. That's actually my favorite part of the soundtrack.
Mine too. So yeah, and seeing that space station like that can only makes me think of what it would look like today if they would do a new TV series like Deep Space Nine. Getting to see a space station now with the visuals that they have at their disposal would just be phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was some good action choreography there as well, because I think the shots where you basically see the Franklin cruising through underwater the river.
Yeah.
I thought that was a clever use of it. I found it kind of disorienting how it had that kind of central hub with the gravity weirdness at the center of this Dyson sphere kind of thing. It had me kind of thinking, like, how can you know which end is up when you're in this place? Or does that not necessarily enter? You're just kind of walking on the sidewalk, you look up, there's other things you don't necessarily notice. It just seems like with that gravity distortion, it just feels like it'd be kind of odd to live there.
It's not the first time we've seen something like that. As a matter of fact, that's the way Babylon 5 was set up as a station.
Okay.
In that interior round version. I've seen it. It's a rather common thing in sci-fi, and I love it in Star Trek. It's very unique. We've never seen anything like that here in Star Trek. This is the first time, and I think it's fantastically done in this film.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of neat seeing it in Star Trek like this. It was beautiful in my opinion. So
Yeah.
Kind of to backtrack a little bit what you were talking about earlier, Scott, about Spock when he learns of the passing of Ambassador Spock. I like that he put that weight on his shoulders and just didn't come out and tell anybody. I know he didn't have a lot of time because things happen so fast. They go on a mission and the ship falls apart and everything happens, but he does end up telling that to McCoy. But then later on, he talks to Kirk about it. And I like that he kept that to himself as long as he could, because it was very personal, obviously, because it's him, just in a different timeline. But I really liked it. And I know him and McCoy had that conversation about it. And, McCoy even said, that's got to be, I don't remember the exact words he says, but he tells him, it's got to feel something awkward, finding out that he passed away, because, literally, it's kind of you. So it really definitely has to feel weird. So I like that aspect of the script, that they did that. And I think it was when he did eventually tell Kirk, it just made it that much more special. And of course, we get that wonderful shot at the end, the picture of the OG crew, which I thought was a wonderful, wonderful touch in this film.
Yeah, there's a lot that coincides with the passing of Leonard Nimoy related to this movie. I know that had an impact on Zachary Quinto in his performance here. I think it was a very smart choice to make that part of Spock's story here, because it's something, as far as continuing the Vulcan culture, is that how does he want to do that? He knows he has a role in it. but knowing that the person that he confides with about that is Bones, who's
Mhm.
probably the last person that he would confide anything in. But we see them have that, it's always been this kind of contentious kind of relationship, but they're still close.
Yeah.
Um, and having that open conversation after an injury, which makes him probably more likely to, laugh out of, whether he was delirious or whatever. um, I think it was well performed and well written. So yeah,
Yeah.
totally agree.
Yeah. To go back to the visuals again, I know I talked about how I hated the Enterprise getting destroyed again, but I did love the one shot when Kirk is in his escape pod and you see his reflection in the window, but you also see the saucer section of the ship going down. I thought that was an amazing shot. Amazing.
It was one of the best. Yeah.
Yeah. Just how much they can do now with CGI just blows my mind anymore. And then how they used the saucer section, how when they turned on was it the impulse engines that are in the saucer section or whatever it was, to get it to, to help them escape, and then eventually flips it up and onto killing the one, what's her name? But anyway, I thought that was a really cool scene.
Yeah.
A lot of good camera work too. Justin Lin used, and again in the saucer section, where he comes out of the one and the camera goes up into the air and it comes back down into the saucer section to see Chekhov and Kirk. I thought that was a really cool shot that he did there. It's amazing what they can do now, but I guess CGI kind of help with that. But you still gotta
helps a lot.
It does, but you still got to know how to choreograph that camera and your actors. So to be able to mix that with CGI is just something phenomenal in itself. It really is.
Yeah, we're past those days where you shoot the film and then you spend 6-8 months doing post-production on visual effects. They have to work very close together now.
Yep. They sure do.
I think related to that, the other escape that I really liked was Scotty's departure. He kind of took a cue from Into Darkness by slipping into a photon torpedo.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other, there's no more of a hold your breath moment than escaping in something that's meant to explode.
Yeah, right.
So
well, okay. I mean, when you got to do it, you got to do it, right? It's the other way out.
Exactly.
So you don't have a choice.
Right.
He had a better chance of being in the torpedo than he was on the ship, so it made sense.
Yeah.
But that was a really cool shot too. I like that.
Yeah.
The bees, I thought those were cool. Even though I didn't like the ship getting destroyed again, I thought those were phenomenal. Especially when you get to see that gigantic wave of them destroying Yorktown. I really thought that was just a cool shot. And then, of course, they have to use sabotage to be the music that interferes with the bees.
Which I liked as a callback. I know it's kind of like,
I think even Kirk said, good choice, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, as much as they were using the waves and the swarms to attack, seeing how they were disrupted with a similar kind of fluid motion, I think that was a good choice.
I do too.
I mean, it's original that they incorporated it actually into the story rather than just playing it. I like that idea. I wish more films would do that rather than just, I like this song, let's put it in the film somehow.
Yeah,
right.
Completely agree. Well, anything else you guys want to discuss the film before we move on behind the scenes? Nope.
There's just one line that stood out to me that I really liked when Scotty was inspiring Jayla to kind of take the action that she needed to, and he said, "My wee granny used to say, you can't break a stick in a bundle," which just makes me think of the newer Planet of the Apes series, where it's apes together strong, and they kind of symbolize that by him holding like a bunch of sticks together and not being able to break it. I don't know. It's a small moment, but I thought it was a cool line that kind of stuck with me.
It is a pretty cool line.
It is.
Like it. All right, let's talk behind the scenes, guys. I know one of the things I found interesting is you guys saw the black eye that Kirk had. That's a real black eye.
Yeah.
He actually got that from the fight he had with Krall, who actually hit him for real. So I think that's kind of cool, though. That's a real bruise.
Yeah, I'm glad they left that in because you rarely see that after a fight. So to see some lasting repercussions was nice.
Yeah, it sure was. I know we talked about in the intro that this is the 13th Star Trek film. This beats out Paramount's other franchise, who had the most sequels, and that was, of course, Friday the 13th. They had 12. And Star Trek beats it, which is kind of funny enough. You would think they would have got to Friday the 13th, part 13, because of that
Right.
number, but they didn't.
There's no 13th, Friday the 13th.
There is not, unfortunately. So kind of interesting that Star Trek beat Friday the 13th in sequels.
No, well, it's not over yet. There's still plenty more they can do with both the franchises, so we'll see who wins.
True.
Yeah, we'll just cross it over with Jason X.
Yeah.
Or not.
Oh, no, or not. Let's not do that at all.
Let's not do that ever.
Yeah.
I'll give them ideas.
So I know we kind of discussed a little bit. Do we think the Kelvin timeline is going to continue? I think we're all pretty much in agreement here that it's dead in the water.
Yeah. But too much years have passed. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I liked, though, was after the passing of Anton, J.J. Abrams announced that Chekhov would not be recast. So at that time, they probably thought there was going to be a fourth film. And he even said, I would say you can't replace him. There will be no new casting. I can't imagine that. And I think Anton deserves better. And I completely agree with J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
If there would have been a fourth one in the Kelvin timeline, I don't know what they would have done. But there's no way they should have recasted that role at all.
Yeah, I would rather see them invest in more Strange New Worlds. I'd rather see them invest more in Lower Decks or things similar to it. Picard. I think it was a great proof of concept that there's still life to be had in the original series crew. That you get some interesting directions when you give it to more than one type of director. Like, it doesn't always have to be somebody who's deeply steeped in sci-fi that can take a swing at these kind of things and make them successful. I mean, this was honestly a successful movie. I think it was just at the end of where this franchise or where this timeline in the franchise really wanted to go. It really had to go.
Go ahead.
What would you think? Now, by no means do I want this, but what would you think if they decided to do a Kelvin timeline of the Next Generation?
No.
Easy there, Wayne. Yeah, I agree with you. But hold on. Now, what do you just think of the possibilities, though? Movies only, not TV series. I don't want it because by no means, I mean, the Next Generation to me is sacred. I agree with you, Wayne. But just briefly think about it. What they could do, the potential.
I mean, it feels like one, I wouldn't want to do those stories over again because it would feel like sacrilege.
It would have to be original stuff. We don't want Into Darkness again.
I think it's
a tough call. I know.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything where I would necessarily want to say, oh yes, I can recognize that because it's the Kelvin timeline.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like, again, this kind of proves the idea that it's almost like this was proof that you should make something like Strange New Worlds because it can be successful and keep things moving on. I think there's room in the Strange New Worlds universe to have something that continues into that type of future.
I'd agree.
But I think they can take their time with it. They don't have to make such a leap from 60s original series to Next Generation. There's so much in between. I hope they kind of take their time with that. But it would be interesting when we eventually get there.
It would.
I wouldn't want to see it at all. Okay. Here's the reason, and I can handle the recasting of the original series because a lot of years have passed. But Star Trek is such an limited idea that I would rather see something new and something original with original characters, original ship.
I agree.
It's infinite what can be done, rather than having to go and recast another one. Once was okay, it worked. Twice would not work.
Or take all the money and give a Star Trek Legacy.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I think, Wayne, kind of similar to what you made me think of was, if we get to the point where we're seeing new stories in the Next Generation timeline, don't make it the Enterprise.
Yeah,
right.
Give us a new crew,
make it a different ship, and you can say, like, you can refer to the Dominion War. You can refer to the Klingon conflicts and things like that. You can even refer to Wolf 359 if you want to, like they did in Picard. But
it doesn't have to be Enterprise.
It doesn't.
Does not.
Love it or hate it, Discovery showed us that you can do another series with another ship,
Right.
and so look at all that could be possible, and any timeline. I mean, we've got so much more that has not been explored. We don't need to be recasting and rehashing old stories.
I agree.
And there are so many great new stories to be had if the writers would and the studios would allow it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I just wanted to put that out there to see what you guys thought, and you pretty much answered how I thought you would. So
Answered loudly. Yeah.
Yes. All right, let's move on to, I know, Wayne's favorite part. Let's talk about some Easter eggs. Wayne, what do you got?
Oh, Easter eggs. Oh, I got quite a few of them actually from this film. First of all, to start off, the film takes place 2.5 years into the character's 5-year mission, because it's stated that this story takes place on its 966th day, which would mean that their mission started on May 12th, 2260. Now, for reference, this is 5 years before the Prime Universe Kirk took command of the Enterprise and began its 5-year mission that we saw in the original series. The working title for this sequel was, believe it or not, Washington Project. I have no idea. I could not find out why they used that title, but that was it. This is only the second Star Trek film to not have any scenes taking place in or around Earth, with the other one being Star Trek Insurrection. Now, according to the logs of the USS Franklin, Balthazar Edison was a Mako Major before he was the captain of the Franklin. Now, Mako stands for the Military Assault Command Operations, which is a division that was created before Starfleet came into being and is basically the future version of the Marines. The log stated that he participated in the Xindi Wars, which would possibly make him one of the Makos that was assigned to the Enterprise NX-01 under Captain Jonathan Archer during that third season of Star Trek Enterprise. One of the stories of the Franklin's fate involved a giant green hand. This has to be a reference to the original series episode Who Mourns for Odonius. Giant Green Hand also appears in the end credits of the film. Now, Simon Pegg, the writer, confirmed that Commodore Paris is a distant relative to Lieutenant Tom Paris and possibly his grandmother. The names of the two crew members that were killed during the Krall attack, Martine and Tomlinson, those are the same crew members that were killed in the Prime Universe during the original series episode Balance of Terror. This is the first on-screen appearance of a ship other than the Enterprise D to separate its saucer. Now, this has always been an option of the original Enterprise, but this is the first time that we actually see it. This is a little bit of a possible blooper here. Krall mentions that the Federation's centuries of expansion, but according to the final episode of Star Trek Enterprise, which was called These Are the Voyages, the Federation at the time of this film is only about 100 years old. Now, remember that the Kelvin timeline, anything before the events of the Narada and the destruction of the Kelvin in 2233 are the same, which would make the Federation 100 years old. So maybe he just thinks it's a lot longer than what it is. Carl Urban said that the medallion he wears at the end of the film, as well as his shirt being open, is an homage to DeForest Kelly's appearance in Star Trek the Motion Picture.
Nice.
Disco bones.
Yep. The photo of the Enterprise crew from the Prime Universe is a publicity photo from Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. And let's end with a little bit look at the merchandise, which was rather scarce for this film due to the lackluster performance of Star Trek Into Darkness. But I'll try to give you a summary of what we did get. I was really surprised to find out that Star Trek Beyond is the first Star Trek film not to get a novelization. IDW Comics published a 4-issue comic miniseries called Star Trek Manifest Destiny, which fills in the story between Into Darkness and Beyond and features the Klingons. This was written by Mike Johnson and Raul Payart, and with art by Angel Hernandez. The first issue was published in both English and Klingonese. Titan Magazines published a Star Trek Beyond Collector's Edition magazine featuring exclusive interviews with cast and crew, behind-the-scenes details on the visual effects, and an analysis of the new villain. Empire Magazine dedicated their 326th issue to Star Trek Beyond, as did Cinefex Magazine, who took a closer look at the film's visual effects. Snapco produced items for the release of the film given out to participating cinemas, including beverage cups, popcorn bags, and trays, as well as cup toppers with starship miniatures featuring the USS Enterprise, the Franklin, and the Swarm ship. These 3 miniatures were also packaged as a Walmart exclusive with the Star Trek Beyond Blu-ray release. Eagle Moss Collectibles added ships from the film to their official Starship collection, which included, again, the Enterprise, the Franklin, and the Swarm ships. And to end it all, Funko Pop got into the game, littering the world with figurines of all 7 of the main crew, as well as Krall and Jayla. Plus, they produced exclusives, including Chekhov in survival suit for GameStop and Kirk in survival suit for FYE.
And littering is the correct word there. Not a fan of those at all.
Yeah, I'm not either.
So I got a couple things. Easter eggs. Starbase Yorktown. The reason why they called it Yorktown is because that was the original name of the starship of Enterprise before Gene Roddenberry decided to change it.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yep. And then when Kirk and the crew enter Yorktown's reception area, an announcement can be heard over the intercom referring to starship with the registry number NCC-2893 is just arriving. This is a reference to the USS Stargazer, the first ship that Captain Jean-Luc Picard commanded on Star Trek The Next Generation.
I missed that. Good catch.
Thank you.
So Dave gets his Kelvin spinoff.
Yeah,
And then Next
there it
Generation.
is.
There's your tie.
I would watch that. That I would watch, definitely.
It'd be kind of interesting though, that's for sure. Scott, did you catch anything?
The only other Easter egg, I guess, is the origin of Jayla's name. That it was inspired by Jennifer Lawrence's performance in Winter's Bone. Apparently, the character is very independent, very resourceful. So Jennifer Lawrence, occasionally called J-Law. They took that into the creation of that character and that name. So I think that's kind of an interesting connection between Jennifer Lawrence and Star Trek universe.
I wonder if there's any consideration of casting her.
Yeah, I don't know.
That would be interesting in itself.
Although I'm glad they didn't, because it feels like that would have drawn so much attention to that character, and I'd rather see
it would have.
Sophia in this role be able to take that character and do what she had done.
Yeah.
Be interesting to check that out in the alternate universe, video store. But
I'm good. We're good. Well, let's talk a little bit about the score. We have the same composer. Michael is back, who did all 3 of the Kelvin Timeline. He did a really good job of help pacing the action. I know, Wayne, you and I agree with the Yorktown sequence.
Yeah.
That score is the most beautiful piece of the entire score, in my opinion. I still feel it's nowhere near the first Star Trek that he did. Not even close to being as good as that. Now, we get some reoccurring themes that we've had, but overall, it's a good score, but I don't think it's not his best.
I agree. It's better than Into Darkness, although I liked Into Darkness. I like all 3 of the scores. I do put it as a step up because of the Yorktown theme, but you're right, it's not nearly as original or as just shockingly good as the original 2009.
I think that one just caught us by surprise. Is why, I mean, it's good. Do not get me wrong, it's fantastic, that first one. And I think we weren't expecting to get what we got with that film, but also that score. So it just blew us away. And I don't think he had a chance to meet that or beat that at all. So
no, yeah, you're right. Too much expectations.
Yeah.
But he has delivered 3 really good, really listenable scores, both in the film and outside in their soundtracks.
Yeah.
I enjoy listening to them over and over again. I have over the years. They're very enjoyable. They're definitely worth picking up. With this soundtrack, there's 2 different versions that you can get. Both of them were released by Very Saraband. The first one, which came out when the film was released, has nearly 61 minutes in it. So that's a good proportion of the music right there if you want to go with that one. But there is also a second version called the Deluxe Edition, brought out by Very Saraband, which is the full and complete score, 47 tracks over 2 hours of music, 2 CDs. It has, like I said, the complete score as well as special suites of music, including the main and full version of the Yorktown theme. It is a limited edition of 5,000 copies, and it's out of print and sold out right now. But Very Saraband does have it as a digital download and available through their website if you do want to get this. And I suggest picking up all three. Great listens.
Sure. Yeah, he's a great composer. Everything he's done has been really good. So I enjoy listening to him, and I can't wait to see what more he has on the horizon for us.
Well, I'm glad he's continued with his association with Star Trek. I know he wrote the theme to Star Trek Prodigy, which I love. That theme, I did a fantastic job, and I hope that he continues on. I mean, they're not going to make any more Kelvin films, but I'd hate to see that being the last of his association, because he's a great composer, and I think he's got a lot more to explore with Star Trek.
Absolutely.
I think it's interesting that this had. I didn't realize there's an original Rihanna song on
Yes.
the soundtrack, which is a first for Star Trek, I think.
What was it called?
also
Sledgehammer or something?
Sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Also interested to hear about one of the cellists on this soundtrack.
Oh.
Dermot Mulrooney, the actor.
Really?
From 30 Steve Stevens from Young Guns.
Okay, I didn't know that, but that's cool.
Other things.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, looking him up on IMDb, he's been a cellist in the Spider-Man Tom Holland movies. He was on Rogue One, Jurassic World, Inside Out, the Planet of the Apes movies, Incredibles 2. I had no idea that he was a cellist, but apparently plays some music from time to time.
Must be a
in between
damn
acting.
good one too, to be to do all those scores, because I didn't know that. That's cool.
It is. Nice tidbit there.
Little Easter egg.
Yeah. All right. Any favorite moments, guys? I know we kind of probably briefly talked about some of them, but do you guys have anything that stands out? We've already kind of talked about our dislikes. So any scenes that you absolutely like?
I think we've already mentioned all the ones that stood out to me. Wayne, what about you?
Well, I mean, I did too. There really isn't too many scenes in here that I stood out, but I do want to bring up one bit, because I haven't mentioned it myself, but I really liked the character of Jayla, and she ended up, in my opinion, being probably the most interesting and best character of the film. She's a real badass. She can really fight, and I felt her scenes with Scotty were probably some of the most fun, the best scenes, because she can compete with him. She's a great engineer, and is equals with him. I just think the dynamic between the two were cute, was funny, was interesting. It lifted what could have been a very boring, very unexciting second half of the film, for me, into something that was really worth watching.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would like to see some more of her somewhere else somehow. Doesn't have to be the Kelvin Timeline. Let's bring her back for something. It would be kind of nice. I always liked how she was called James T. James T.
Yeah.
And Montgomery Scotty.
Yes.
Yep.
So I really liked them. No, I agree with you. She was a great character, great actress who played her. It would be nice to see her back for sure. All right. Well, check out www.filmbypodcast.com for film and TV articles and our entire library streaming free. You can write to us at filmbypodcast@gmail.com with your questions, comments, and concerns. We may just read your response on the show and send you a Film by swag. You can also let us know what you think about the Kelvin Timeline. Did we get it wrong? Do you think they're going to continue with this? I think it's dead in the water, but who knows? Who knows what Paramount has up their sleeve down the road? Jeff? So Jeff hopefully will agree with us on that, but we shall see how he responds to that. Scott, Wayne, thank you so much for joining me on the bridge, as always. It's a pleasure.
Yep, likewise. Always a good time.
Yep.
Been a lot of fun. I can't believe we've finished all of the films now.
I know. All 13 films, we have completed them. That's crazy to think about. Feels like we just started, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
But here we are, the last one. Hopefully we'll get to talk about a new one someday. But I'm sure that's still a few years down the road, but we shall see.
Maybe number 15 could be a Lower Decks movie.
That's right. You never know.
That I want.
Yes, absolutely. All right, to all you listening to the show, follow us on social media and subscribe to our Patreon. We thank you. See you next time for another episode of Phasers Set to Stun.
Don't go away, listeners, because there's more Phaser Set to Stun coming up for you later today, where we lead up to the season premiere of Star Trek Strange New Worlds with a look back on Season 2 and beyond.